Hey there, beautiful friends. Thank you so much for coming to this edition of the Intuitive Art Show. We have a very special guest today, Denise Duffield-Thomas of Lucky Bitch Money Bootcamp, which is now this year, I believe, Money Bootcamp with Denise Duffield-Thomas. I love seeing her evolution. I love that she talks about money blocks, especially with spiritual entrepreneurs. And she does answer a bunch of your questions that you submitted. So definitely listen to this one. It's really big. She is so cool. And I really hope you enjoy it. And then at the end, she does talk about her Lucky Bitch Money Bootcamp, which I've been a part of for 3 years and still enjoy. She is so aligned with all the stuff I talk about, other spiritual teachers, and the people I really admire who talk about money. She's definitely on the top of the list. I am offering a bonus if you join her program. I've never done that before, but this is how much I really believe in what she does. So if you join her Lucky Bitch Money Bootcamp by Friday night, she'll talk more about that at the end of the interview, then you can choose from getting the Soul Focus course or Enhance Your Psychic Senses from me. Both are super magical. I'll include links so you can check out what those are all about. And then you can look at her Money Bootcamp at intuitiveart.com/money. So I will let you get into her brilliance, and we even do an intuitive art drawing, and she is actually super on board with it. Let me know what your takeaways are in the comment section, and enjoy. Intuitive Art Show people, I'm so excited that we have Denise Duffield-Thomas here. I have been in her boot camp for 3 years now and been very happy with it. So let's get into the chat. So hello.
So great to be here. Thank you. So you've been for 3 years. I love it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's been very enlightening. So especially everything you've been talking about this year about both, you know, the big and, like creating space and having a big purpose. I know you really didn't consider yourself very spiritual kind of before this year, but that's like what my whole crowd is all about, and me as well. And I always thought you definitely completely aligned with all the kind of spiritual woo-woo stuff out there. So that's why I've really enjoyed your work.
I've actually had an epiphany about that recently that I would really love to share, because so many people have been asking me about it this week about, oh, so you're a really spiritual person, or are you a spiritual person? And for a long time, I was on the periphery of this of the world of the woo people, because I didn't feel like I was worthy of being in the middle of that. I felt like, oh, I'm really practical, I don't fit in that world, or I don't meditate every day, I don't fit in that world. And even though I've been very interested in those concepts from a very young age, I didn't think in a way that I was deserving of saying that I was a spiritual person. And I realize now that that's what a lot of people have with money. They feel like it's this club that they're not allowed to be in, that they're unworthy of, that they don't have the right dress code to be in, or they don't, they're just not going to fit. And so that's uncovered a new layer for myself of how it reminds me how people feel about money and about how they feel about their worthiness or deservingness. And of course, I can just claim that I'm a spiritual person, and I believe the same is true for money. You can just claim that it's okay for you to have more money as well. So thank you for asking that question right off the bat. It's uncovered some new stuff for me.
Yeah, well, I think that's why a lot of people have always really loved that you call yourself a chillionaire, because it's like, all right, you're kind of keeping yourself on, you know, our level or whatever that means, and not just like, I don't know, taking on a different kind of persona. But even that is probably a money block, thinking about it like that.
Yeah, it is. And I love the chillionaire thing. It's a Kevin Nation's word, by the way. I want to give a shout out to him so he doesn't sue me. But I think the new nuance for me around money is it's not about money for money's sake. It's about creating richness in your life. And the way that a lot of women want to create richness is not about necessarily doing a lot of stuff, buying a lot of stuff. It's about creating this really beautiful life where we can have presence and abundance and time and space. And yeah, buying stuff is nice too, but it's about creating richness in all areas. And unfortunately, a lot of women feel like they have to choose. They can have money, or they can live a life of more meaning. But guess what? You can choose. You can choose the level of how visible you want to be or how much you want to work. But that doesn't mean you can't have abundance in that as well.
Yeah, the other day I realized, as spiritual people, we have an amazing spiritual life, an emotional life, and often we have amazing friends. And so we're so abundant on all these levels, and yet we so often sabotage the money and the physical. And it's like, well, if we're allowed to have it on all these other places, isn't it just as worthy? Like, aren't we just as deserving to have it here? Why do you think that's so hard?
Well, there's so many reasons, and some of them go back. It's probably centuries, for women especially, is that I think if you're a healer in a past life, probably didn't get paid money. You probably got you got a chicken, or you got some eggs, or you bartered with other people, and there's a little bit of a hangover around that. But I think the biggest thing is this feeling that it's unspiritual to ask for money for something that maybe comes naturally to you, and you might even get pushback from other people in your community of like, well, you shouldn't charge for this gift. You might get pushback from your clients. Well, why are you charging for this? You should not charge for this. And then there's the feeling inside of, oh my God, if I have to choose between helping people and making money, I choose helping people. And of course we do. Of course we do. But no one's asking you to make a choice. You can help people and make money, and you can make money and help people. It's a beautiful energy exchange. And I think when everyone in the healing community really embraces money as a really positive tool for good in the world, then the vibration of the planet is just going to rise. When women really step up around money, it's going to shift a lot of things on our planet. And there's tons of studies about what happens when women have more money, both in a first world but also in a developing country context, is that we do enrich our communities. And you think of the people that like in the spiritual community, when they start to have a bit more money, they hire other women in their businesses. They hire other women to help them with their own energy work. They buy beautiful things from other women. They buy art. They buy jewelry. They really spread the abundance. I have yet to meet any, beautiful woman who doesn't give money to charity when she has a bit more money in her life. So that's what we do. We spread the abundance. But by keeping ourselves small, we're keeping the planet small. We're keeping the planet kind of in this space of scarcity. It's going to come from us. It's not going to come from the men in charge changing their mindsets necessarily without us rising up to meet them and having some purchase power in the world.
Very true. Yeah, so this is the Intuitive Art Show. You're probably not familiar with it, but that's okay. I did a drawing before we talked just to see what the biggest money block is for our audience, and it kind of looks like a butt. But it's basically saying it's this and thing. See how it's kind of split down the middle? Same intuition, right? To be wealthy and to have a big purpose, to be spiritual and have joy, and to be creative. But there is this rift of having a big impact and also not going crazy and being man mode hustle. So,
yeah.
I mean, you're a great example of you have 2 kids, you have a very thriving business. Well, I mean, I know we can go deeper on that. What do you think?
I never want to say, oh, you can just have a business by doing nothing, because that's not my experience and the people I know as well. But I know so many women who they don't necessarily strive to have $1 million business. That's not a true abundance for them. It's not a goal for them, but they've been able to create really good abundance for themselves to cover all their needs and more, to create, a lovely lifestyle for themselves and not have to work all of the hours to do that. And so again, it's not that either or. It's not like, oh, you're just going to, work hardly anything because you're not going to have a big business. But you don't have to work 100 million hours a week either and have this big business. You have to find your level of richness in here. What do you want? Some of us want to live in a mansion. Some of us want to live in a tiny house.
Or a camper
Some
van.
of us, Or a camper van. Exactly. That's richness for you. A beautiful friend of mine, she just sold her house and bought a sailboat. And she's sailing around the world, and she does art workshops, and, she's going to stop at ports and do that. That is richness for her. She doesn't need to be a millionaire to do that, by the way. So yeah, that duality, that picture is so perfect, because we do think there is this line, and for some of us, we have created our own glass ceiling around our income, not knowing that on the other side of it, you can be the exact same person. And you're not going to change. It's just going to be you with more money, and that can only create good things in the world.
Absolutely. And so the purpose part and the impact part is part of that. It's not like if you choose not to go after $1 million business, you're wasting your time on the planet. Like, your purpose is still there.
It is, but you know what? I think so many people go to extremes. They go, well, I don't want the $1 million business, so I'm going to reject money. And it's like, well, you don't reject everything. Like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's okay for you to experience abundance in the way that you want to experience abundance. But so many women in the spiritual community are just living on this, like, week to week, month to month, just getting by, not realizing the power that could come from having more time and space and a great foundation of financial security, what that could do to you being able to help more people, or write a book, or take a sabbatical, or do these other amazing things without having to scrimp and just get by.
Yeah, I totally did that once. I started making a lot of money in my business, and then I freaked out, and I was like, I don't want money, and so it just kind of tanked. Luckily now I'm much more growing again and at an accepting relationship. But yeah, that totally happened to me.
Yeah, and you can choose, and you can do it in a way where you can build structures as you go, build boundaries, build the systems. I think people are so afraid that their success is just going to come so thick and fast and overwhelming that it's going to, destroy their life, so they don't do anything. And it's not the case. And we teach in the Money Bootcamp, we teach incremental upgrades. And so it's like a little layer each time, So you're building a strong foundation as you grow.
Mm. So a lot of the people in my camp are also very multi-passionate, multi-talented, and I see them wanting to create so much, which is amazing. And I know you've talked about that and how it's kind of been hard for you to focus, but that you're happy you have. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, like other entrepreneurs, I definitely have that shiny object syndrome sometimes, and I think of new ideas for books. And what's really helped me is that I'm very clear on who I want to serve. I want to serve female entrepreneurs who have a big heart. They want to serve people, and they, want to change the world, as well as creating a nice life for themselves. So for me, I have a mantra, because I love mantras. All roads lead to boot camp. So I can create something as long as it leads people along the journey to come and join my Money Bootcamp. If I created other destinations, it will be confusing for my audience. So I try not to create the destinations, as in I don't try and create massive, big competing programs where people will go, oh, where should I go? Where should I go? I create little signpost things along the way. So I create a lot of free content in the form of blogs or free videos. I have a few like little low-cost products like books, but I don't tend to do a lot of those. I'm either free or it's like a paid, a bootcamp thing. So you can do that. If you've got an idea for something, I want to challenge people to go, you know what, make it free. Make it free with, an email in exchange for an email address, so you can then serve people on your newsletter list. But don't always think you have to monetize everything. But if you go that philosophy of all roads lead to your main offering, then give yourself permission to go crazy on it. And to create new things for your audience. People will love you for it, but don't try and go in lots of different areas, because in my experience, it diffuses your power.
Got it. That's awesome. Have you had to talk yourself into that? Have you ever had any moments where you were itching to create something totally different?
Yes. So many times. So a couple of years ago, I had a soulmate course. And I wrote a book called Get Hitched, Lucky Bitch. And so in my mind, I was like, well, it's about manifesting, and I teach manifesting. But it was a bit of a pivot. And because I saw a problem that I wanted to solve in my community, I saw all these beautiful women in business, and they were like, well, I'm single, I've got everything else. And so I was like, I've got a solution for that. And it took courage to say, you know what, I'm killing that. Well, I'm not killing it because that sounds really negative, but I'm like, I don't have to be everything to everyone. I don't. So I just let that go. And now if someone says, oh, I'm single, it's like, well, I can give you, a mindset shift around it that you are allowed to have everything. You don't have to choose between money and love. But that's my remit. That's all I don't then go, well, here's what you can do to manifest that man. So I've had those moments myself, and I just gently redirect my attention, just gently.
That's cool. Yeah, it sounds kind of like it's giving up the need to save the world. Like there's definitely some kind of dispersal of energy going on there if we're all trying to just like save everybody that comes into our nest.
Absolutely. And it's not even about that. It's like trying to be all the things to all the people, and there's just so much power sometimes in realizing, oh, I'm really good at this particular thing, and somebody else will serve those people. We feel so responsible, but it's like, you know what, someone else has got that, and you can point them in that direction. You know what, this person's really good at that, without feeling like, oh my God, I have to solve every problem that they've got in their entire life, because that's exhausting and it doesn't serve them or you.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, so I asked my audience for questions, and I have a couple. I'd love
Yay.
to read. Megan asked, are people addicted to lack, and can they clear that?
Wow, what a juicy question. I think some people are. But it's more than that. It's about being addicted to your story. And a lot of us are in there. I think my mom is addicted to her story that there are no good men in the world. And so she's very invested in that story. And so then, she's had shitty relationships her whole life. So I think we can be addicted to our story because it's comforting, and it makes sense to us. And sometimes when you try and change your belief system, you start to question everything, or you feel a bit ungrounded in it. And that's why it's so important to have a community around you as you are making those shifts. So you can go, I don't know if I believe it's possible for myself yet, but wow, I can see that she's doing it. Maybe I could do it as well. And that's how you start to shift and change. Because if you just stay in your same environment, maybe your friends and family have that lack mentality. Maybe you have a big story around yourself and they're reflecting that back to you all the time. We all know how hard it is when you're trying to do something, but people keep you down. But it's like, but you're terrible with money. And it's like, you've created that story for me from when I was 2 years old. Can we move on from that now? That's why you need that community, so they can see the possibility for you before you can even see it for yourself.
Very true. Yeah, the community in your group especially is just so responsive and so helpful. I've definitely loved posting in there when I've been having my freak out moments over the years. And it's really great to read about everybody else's as well, because it's like it will remind you of things that you never would have thought of on your own. So yeah, community is huge. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. Has your weight loss changed anything in your business? And this is coming from someone who had a huge weight loss in her life as well.
Juicy question.
Yeah.
Someone asked me that recently too, and they said, what came first, the shift or the weight loss? And I think they actually came at a similar place. I think I finally got in my mind. Let me go back even more, because I actually made money at a higher weight than I am, because I told myself that I was still worthy of making money even though I was a little bit fluffy. But I see women holding themselves back because they think, I have to lose the weight before I'm worthy of making more money or being visible in my business. So I really worked at the self-love piece for a long time. I love and accept myself, which meant I showed up and did videos even though I wasn't happy and comfortable necessarily in my weight. I really worked on that self-love piece. And then I started questioning in myself, do I feel like I have to choose? And I did. The mindset shift I had to make was, people will still like me if I'm thin. And that's, again, say either or. It all comes back to the same stuff. I was like, oh, I can have money now, even though I didn't think I was allowed to at first. I can have money now. Oh, but I can't be thin as well. That's too much. I have to choose. That's too much for anyone. People won't like me. So I had to just do the same work again, but it was the other way. And so I think all of that just happened at the same time. And so now outwardly I do look different and I do feel different because I think I've just gone to that new layer of I can have both. Does that make sense?
It does,
so it's about the weight, but it's not about the weight.
Mm-hmm.
It's about allowing myself to have more.
Yeah. And not like taking too much, right? Like not being too great, not being too shiny, too sparkly.
Exactly. And it might be the opposite for some people. They might think, well, I've got a great marriage. I don't have a weight problem. I can't be wealthy as well. People will really hate me then. So it doesn't matter what situation everyone's in. I think everyone's dealing with this thing of what do I have to choose to go to this next level in my life? What do I have to give up? And we don't have to give up anything, but we believe that we do. And I think a lot of people in the spiritual community believe that they have to give up their spirituality or their ethics or their integrity or their giant heart to have more money. And it's the same thing about me. Oh, I can't be skinnier. Or a skinny person saying, I can't be richer. It's all the same stuff for all of us.
That's amazing. It's just so cool to watch you knock all these things back, like over the years. You're such a great person to be watching, and thank you for being so open about everything, because I think your community really benefits from seeing you process all this stuff.
Well, I'm walking the journey, right? Like all of us, and there's new layers to uncover all the time, and that's why it's really important to have tools and support to deal with this money journey, because it's not a one and done thing, right? And I don't have a magic wand. I actually do have a wand, but it's not gonna fix all your money problems like that. This is an ongoing work for the rest of your life. And it doesn't mean it's scary and horrible, but you get into a bit of a maintenance mode, right? But it doesn't mean that you can just read one book and you're fixed forever. You're going to constantly find new layers of your money mindset and new choices that you feel like you have to make. I'm at a crossroads now where I'm like, oh, I want to have another baby or more babies. And I have to stop myself from thinking, well, you can either write a book or you can have a baby. You can't do both. So we're getting to all these little micro forks in the road all the time, and we just have to remember you can have both. And actually, Willow, my daughter, who's 3.5, we always say to her, do you want this or this? And she goes, maybe both. So she's a perfect role model for me, even to the point where we said, do you want Vegemite or peanut butter on your toast? And she goes, maybe both. So she has it like half-half. And I'm like, yes, Willow, why not both?
That's great. Yeah, I think I remember you did a little sit down with Leonie about mentoring with her. And I think you talked about like wanting to have a child, but also like being scared about growing your business. So that was definitely something that you had to work through more than 3.5 years ago. So it just keeps going.
It does. And there'll be new things as well, that everyone has to uncover. And that's why it's really important to have community, as I said, and have that support, because otherwise you think each time you're like, no, but this is really real now. This is a real choice. And it's like, no, it's not. That's an illusion.
Very cool. All right. One more question.
Yeah.
In regards to mindset and the end result of increasing real money in your pocket, in a nutshell, is it about building confidence and acknowledging your value, or are there other aspects?
There are so many aspects to it, and I believe that you have to throw everything at it, because sometimes for some people it is about building confidence. For other people it's about feeling okay setting boundaries, or being okay with your price, or feeling so we come at it from every single angle. We look at all the mindset stuff, the beliefs. We really uncover all those things that are holding you back. We look at what sabotages you have on a current, day-to-day level. Where are you sabotaging yourself? We look at all your excuses about why you're not allowed to be rich and what you're scared about in the future. So I believe everything works, but sometimes you don't know what's the key that's going to unlock your door. And that's why we come at it from so many angles on the boot camp, because it's different for everyone. We've all got a different little key that unlocks it. And often you might have something that unlocks it a little bit and you can receive a little bit more money. And then you find a new door and you're like, oh, then I can receive a bit more money. So there's not one thing that suddenly you're like, oh, I'm all cured and fixed. But you do it like that because then you build the strong foundation. You do it incrementally, and you never know what's going to be the thing that's going to work for you.
I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, because the one thing that I love above everything else about your boot camp is just how thorough it is. Like, you literally do go through all of those topics and give so many examples. I mean, so many examples. Like, we barely have to think for ourselves because you have, like, lists and lists of things we can look at and see if we resonate with it. So I'm so excited about your launch right now, and you're actually doing it live, which is great. I did sign up again so that I could go through it. So I know you have a special. It's probably going to be nearly over when this releases, but do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, sure. So Bootcamp Live doesn't happen very often. It's once a year, once every couple of years sometimes. And that means we're doing the whole program together as a collective, which is greater accountability, greater energy. And even if you are traveling or you've got things going on in the next couple of weeks, still just being in that space and absorbing that energy from everyone is hugely valuable. So that starts on the 7th of August. And depending on when you listen to this, we've got an early bird special that finishes Wednesday, the 2nd of August at 9 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully you've got a little bit of time. And then we close down registrations on Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern as well for the full price. And I know you have probably got a link that you can share with people about how to go and have a look at the sales page and check out the testimonials and check out some of the people that we've got in there too, like their professions, because we really we have so many different industries in there. We have a ton of people in the healing world, in the spiritual world, because I believe this group of people has really the opportunity to change the world more than any other. And also it's the group that often has the biggest money blocks. So that's why I love inviting in, the healers and the spiritual people, because we've got such big missions on the planet right now. And everyone, I think everyone is a light worker, but it's this group especially that has such a big heart and can just make such a huge difference in the lives of others and have such a big ripple effect if we really harness the power of money. So we'd really invite you to come and join us.
Love it. Thank you so much. And yes, if you go to intuitiveart.com/money, you can check out Denise's bootcamp. Come join me in there, be my friend, and take it live. You definitely will get a lot out of it. So thank you so much, Denise, for being here and letting us interview you. And we'll all see you on the inside.
Yay, my pleasure. I'll see you guys in boot camp.
Bye. Thanks so much.